Welcome back to Podcast for Artists. I always see the same thing after every art fair. Attendees gushing over a piece and saying things like, I wish I could remind myself about this one later, or if only I could show this to my friend who couldn't make it. It just makes you think, right, what if you could give people that experience even after the fair is over?
It's a real missed opportunity when you think about it. You put so much work into your art fair presence, but it's all over in a flash. Luckily, there's a way to capture that magic and keep it going, the online art booth.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but honestly, at first glance, it sounds a lot like an artist's website. Help me understand the difference.
It's all about going beyond the static portfolio. A website is great for showcasing your work, but an online art booth is about recreating the feeling of actually being at your art fair booth. Even if someone is on the other side of the world, imagine offering 360-degree views of your pieces, virtual walkthroughs, and even live chat so people can ask questions in real time.
So you're essentially transporting the viewer into that same exciting art fair environment, just digitally. That's really cool. But does it actually work? I mean, can artists really see tangible results from this?
It's not just a cool concept, it's a game changer. I've seen artists completely transform their careers with online art booths. For example, we featured Elena Rodriguez, a painter. On marketyourart.net, she completely embraced this idea, especially the 360-degree views, and ended up tripling her sales in just 6 months.
Wow, tripling sales. That's amazing. But what was it specifically about those 360 views that resonated so much? Was it just the novelty or was there something deeper going on?
Part of it is the immersive quality. For sure, people can really get a feel for the texture, the scale, the details that might be missed in a
Right.
flat photo, but I think it also taps into that desire for a personal connection. Imagine being able to virtually walk through Elena's booth from your living room, lingering on the pieces that catch your eye. It creates a sense of intimacy that you just don't get from scrolling through a website.
I see what you mean. It's like offering a private viewing to anyone, anywhere in the world. Okay, so for artists who are listening and thinking, sign me up, what are the big advantages we're talking about here?
Well, aside from potentially boosting your sales like Elena, think about the global reach you suddenly have. You're no longer limited by who can physically attend a specific art fair. Someone in Paris could stumble upon your work just as easily as someone in your hometown.
That's right. And it probably saves a ton of money too, right?
Yeah.
No more expensive travel,
Yeah.
shipping artwork.
Or paying for those art fair booths.
Exactly. It's incredibly cost effective. And the flexibility is another huge perk. You can manage your online booth from anywhere, anytime. Need to update a price or add a new piece at 2 a.m.? No problem.
That's the dream. But there are definitely hurdles to consider. And I think one of the biggest is the technical aspect. Not all artists are tech savvy. And getting an online booth up and running does require some know-how. Things like choosing the right platform, ensuring your site is mobile friendly, and troubleshooting any glitches that come up. It can be daunting.
Yeah, I can see that being a roadblock for some artists. It's important to acknowledge that.
It is. And then, even if you have a beautiful, perfectly functional online booth, you need people to actually find it. The online art market, just
Right.
like the physical one, is crowded.
So we're talking about marketing, right? What are some strategies that artists can use to really make their online booth stand out and attract visitors?
Well, social media is essential these days. Platforms like Instagram and Pinterest are practically made for visual artists. You can post high-quality images of your work, run engaging contests, and even give people sneak peeks behind the scenes.
It's like creating that same buzz you get at a physical art fair, but online.
Yeah.
What about things like email lists? Are those still relevant in the age of social media?
Absolutely. Email marketing might seem a little old school, but it's still one of the most effective ways to build a direct relationship with your audience. Encourage visitors to your online booth to sign up for your newsletter, and then you can keep them in the loop about new pieces, upcoming events, or even offer special discounts just for your subscribers.
It's like having a VIP list for your art. That's smart. Are there other things artists can do to boost their visibility online?
Collaborations are huge. Think about partnering with other artists, galleries, or even art bloggers to cross-promote each other's work. You could do joint giveaways, guest blog posts, or even host a virtual art show together.
That's a great idea. It's all about leveraging each other's networks and reaching new audiences. So let's say an artist is feeling inspired and ready to dive into this whole online art booth thing. Where do they even begin? What are the practical steps involved?
Well, the first step is choosing the right platform for your online booth. There are quite a few options out there, each with its own pros and cons.
Okay, so walk us through some of those options. What are the things artists should be considering when making this decision?
Artsy and Art Basil's online viewing rooms are great if you're looking for a more established platform with a built-in audience of collectors. They do tend to be a bit more selective, though, and they take a commission on sales. Artland is another popular choice, especially for emerging artists. They focus on creating a very interactive experience with features like virtual reality tours. Or if you're more tech savvy and want complete control over your branding, you could even build your own online booth on your personal website using platforms like WordPress or Wix.
So many possibilities. It really comes down to your individual needs and comfort level with technology. What happens once you've picked a platform?
Then comes the fun part, designing your online booth. This is where you really get to let your creativity shine. Think about how you want to present your work, what kind of atmosphere you want to create, and how you can translate your unique style into a digital space.
So just like setting up your physical booth at an art fair.
Yeah.
But in the digital world,
Precisely. And just like with a physical booth, you want to make sure it's visually appealing and easy to navigate. Make sure your site is mobile responsive so it looks good on any device. And use high-quality images that showcase your work in the best possible light.
that makes sense. You want people to get that wow factor as soon as they land on your page. What about writing descriptions for your artwork? Any tips there?
Don't just list the title and dimensions. Tell a story. Share your inspiration behind the piece, the techniques you use, the emotions you want to evoke. People connect with art on an emotional level, so give them something to connect with.
I love that. It's about making that personal connection even through a screen.
Now let's talk about the practical side of things. Once your artwork is uploaded and ready to go, how do you actually handle sales and pricing in an online art booth?
Transparency is key. Be upfront about your pricing, including any shipping costs or taxes. Do your research and see what other artists are charging for similar work. But ultimately, trust your gut and price your art in a way that feels fair to you. All right, you don't want to undervalue your time and talent. What about payment options?
Offer a variety of payment methods to make it easy for people to buy from you. Credit cards, PayPal, Venmo, even cryptocurrency if you're comfortable with it. And be sure to clearly outline your shipping insurance and return policies to avoid any confusion down the line.
That's all really good advice. It sounds like there's a lot to think about when it comes to the business side of running an online art booth. Any final words of wisdom for artists who are feeling a little overwhelmed by all of this?
Don't try to do everything at once. Start small, pick one or two platforms to focus on, and experiment. See what works for you and your art. The beauty of the online world is that it's constantly evolving. There are always new tools and strategies to explore.
So the key is to stay curious and adaptable,
Hmm.
just like in the art world itself.
Exactly. And remember, the most important thing is to stay true to your artistic vision. Let your passion shine through, and the rest will follow.
This has been such an inspiring conversation. I'm already picturing all sorts of possibilities for my own art. But for our listeners who are ready to take action and start building their online art booths, where can they find more guidance?
I'm so glad you asked. We actually published a really comprehensive article on marketyourart.net called Online Art Booth, the digital extension of your art fair space. It goes into even more detail about everything we've discussed today, from choosing the right platform to marketing your booth effectively.
That's perfect. We'll be sure to include a link to that article in the show notes so everyone can check it out. So to all the artists out there listening, don't be afraid to embrace this new frontier. The online world is waiting to discover your talent.
It's time to take your art beyond the traditional gallery walls and connect with a global audience who's eager to see what you create.
And that wraps up another episode of Podcast for Artists. We hope you found this conversation about online art booths helpful and motivating.
Remember, the art world is constantly evolving. Stay curious, stay creative, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying.